7:14 on this first day of school. I want to welcome Lori and Drew playing Robin. Meadow Christian Academy. You start today too.
We do. We're excited. Our students are excited. Our teachers are excited, and it's a great year. Our school is growing, and we've had to add some new staff members to accommodate that growth.
Good.
And so we're very excited. Great
So
day.
your student enrollment is up.
It's up. We're at 111. I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but in 2007, in the fall of 2007, when we inaugurated our new school building, at that time we had chosen to have our school go from K4 through 8th grade rather than with the high school, and we started in that building with an enrollment of approximately 46 students. So we've more than doubled.
It's great.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to have the kids back on do the prayer.
Oh,
that was a kick last year.
Yeah, they loved it. They were excited. They got really serious about that. They took it seriously. And at first there were a few that, they were nervous. And when we said, we have this opportunity and we wanted to come and be able to say prayers over our community. And so there were a few, I had to kind of go, would you like to do it? Would you? And yes. And then, there weren't a lot wanting to do it, but after they started listening to their peers on the radio, and they would come up to me and go, I have a prayer that I want to pray for our community. I'm like, absolutely. So it was a neat thing, very excited. We one of the things we emphasize at school is prayer. We have the freedom to pray there, and we start our day with prayer every day. And so this is a great thing because these kids are learning to incorporate prayer in their life, for life. Mm-hmm.
And how many adults would do what these kids did?
Right. We were so proud of them. And it was from their heart. Each child came up with their own prayer.
It was.
And so that was a neat thing.
And what a thrill to be with the mayor to pass out the letters when we told Governor Hutchinson about it.
Yes, that was a highlight. In fact, we our students that are in 5th grade or higher, when they re-enroll, if they've already been at the academy, we have a different re-enrollment packet, which is different than our new enrollee packet. And the re-enrollees have to complete a form. It's kind of like a questionnaire. Do you want to come to this school? Why do you want to be here? What are some of the achievements that you're most proud of? Different things like that. And so one of the students, I believe I can't remember if it was an 8th grade young man or a 10th grade young man, but I was reading through these a few weeks ago, and on the section where it had like highlight or some achievements I'm proud of, it said AB honor roll and receiving a letter from the governor for praying on the radio. That was listed. I thought that was really neat. And so
well, I'll tell you exciting. What to see those students come in, let me think I have to choose my words wisely. It shows an outstanding leadership in your school. When you have kindergarten students, more than likely have never been on the radio, let alone even held a live microphone. I think we had to record one.
Okay.
I think we recorded one, just to play it back so they wouldn't have to worry about being live.
Sure.
So we did that last week of March through the first week of May.
Right. A couple months there. We tried to almost 3 months. Actually, I think we started at the end of April, maybe. No. You're right. It was in March. It was the end of March, is what I'm thinking. Not the end
I think
of
it was
April.
last week of March because we did the entire month of April because I was gone a Friday and I had to go to the Antique Radio Show.
Of course.
In Nashville. Yeah.
No, you're right. It was in March. Now that I'm thinking about it, because I remember we talked about we'll do it right after spring break when we finish our spring break. So, yeah. That was a really neat thing, and the kids are looking forward to doing it again this year.
Well, we're going to get it scheduled soon. I'm hoping we can pull it off as soon as October or November.
Yes,
that'd be fun.
Absolutely. It's a privilege to be able to pray over our community. And
let's put this in perspective. You've got the Christian Academy that teaches prayer. Then you've got parents that are dedicated enough. Now, they may have one child out of 2, 3, 4 kids. Oh, well, you need to be at the radio station just before 7 o'clock. What a burden that is on a family because you can drop kids off no earlier than 7:30 at the public schools if some are going to public school, and then some are going to Christian Academy.
Right.
then you got to get to work.
That's right. That's right. It is. And it is. It was a sacrifice for the parents, too. And in fact, I had one little kindergartner come to me, and he came to the front. He said, I want to talk to Miss Mathis. And he came in. I said, yes. And he said, I want to pray. I have a prayer I want to pray on the radio. And I said, well, we have to check with your parents and find out if, if this will work, if they can get you there. And so initially, when we contacted the parent said, no, there's just really, that would be too much, can't do it. And the little one came back to me again. Please, why didn't you schedule me? I have a prayer I want to pray on the radio. I'm like, sweetie, I don't know if we can work it out with your parents. And he came a third time, and I had to call the mom and just go, look, I cannot deny this. I will take your child to the radio station if I have to accommodate, and she said, you know what, we will make this happen. Oh. And it was precious because it was in his heart. And he was, I have a prayer, and I have got to pray this prayer, So anyway, you're right. It was a sacrifice for the parents. And some parents had several kids that they brought different mornings. Yeah. So they were making that commitment on more than one morning. And we were very grateful.
It was a lot of fun. Well, I'm going to ask you the same question that I normally ask politicians. You got a genie in a bottle and you get 3 wishes for Mountain Christian Academy.
Wow. Okay, I know this is going to sound, at the risk, let me just say, it's not greed-based. It's just honest. The Christian Academy, as a private, nonprofit Christian school, receives zero federal or state funding. Everything we do is based on the tuition income and generous people in our community who have made contributions. And there are people outside of our community that believe in Christian education who have made contributions to our school. It's a walk of faith, and we have seen God do amazing things. But if you just said, well, what could you wish for? Some funding because we have a big vision. And it's God's school. The things that are in our heart, we really believe are things that God has put in our hearts. And sometimes, to further that, you think, oh, if we just had some money to make this happen. But we haven't been anxious because we've seen that God has done things. And we will also want to be very responsible that when the Lord blesses us, that we are not just hanging on to that for ourselves, but that we find ways to reach out. There was a gentleman that came in from another Christian school in Oklahoma this past week that did some lectures for our in-service sessions. And he talked about a large contribution that had been made to their school. And it was so large that they actually set up a foundation. And he said, we don't want to just use that for ourselves. He said, part of what I do is when I'm out and about helping other schools, he goes, I'm keeping my eye out for worthy places where we can invest from what we've received. And I thought, I would love to be in that position someday, for our school to be the recipients of something through the hand of God, but that we would turn around and graciously steward what we've been blessed with to bless others, So that would be one thing I would say. Robin, do you have one? You said 3?
3 wishes. You get 3 wishes.
3. Ooh, wee. And you know what? If we continue to grow our school through the children coming in and enrolling, that is another way to provide funding. So I would say to increase our enrollment. And if people, one of the delicate balances we've tried to maintain is not have such a high tuition that it makes it prohibitive for parents to consider that as an option. At the same time, our teachers make a tremendous sacrifice financially, but they're there because they feel called of God. They make a sacrifice in order to be able to help us provide Christian education to families who want that option. And so we have worked very hard. Our board prayerfully considers tuition every year, and I think it's been over 3 years since we've raised our tuition. And if anybody's curious, all you have to do is go online, look up Christian schools, private Christian schools in other communities, and you'll be surprised at how affordable our school is.
Right. Yeah.
So another wish would be, what do you think, Robin?
They're thinking.
Yeah, it's tricky because when I'm just thinking about wishes, I mean, we we pray a lot about the things that we need. We take that before the Lord, and so I don't want to water down what's already at work, but just for fun, it would be just that people would understand. I've told the story before and maybe even on air, but Christian education was not on my radar. I knew the schools here were incredible, and so we sent our firstborn to Mountain Home Christian Academy for pre-K, just because we needed to have a pre-K school for him, and we loved it so much that we said we won't take him out this year. And every year we've said the same thing. We'll just stay another year. And it's not what we're taking him from in any public school setting. We know we have wonderful public schools here. It's not what we're taking him from. It's what we're putting him into, and that is God's Word, like teaching every day. So when he comes home, when he goes to church, it's all the same truth that he's learning, and he doesn't have to decide for himself. Am I not supposed to pray before I eat a meal? Am I not supposed to talk about the Lord? No, that's just fluid. It's all congruent. Everything in his life, he has a Christian worldview, and that's the most important thing as a parent for us, is that our child has a Christian worldview. They see the world as the Word sees the world. So, and we feel like that doesn't create any obstacles or confusion for our children. So, wishes just that people would see the value of it, especially Christian families. Mm-hmm. And just that the Lord would move. But again, that's not a wish. That's something that I think he's already doing.
Mm-hmm. We could use some technology.
Yes, that would be a wish.
That would be. But yeah, I agree.
And volunteers
really?
that could come in and help us with technology.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, volunteers for sure in the community.
Like we don't have an IT person on staff. Everybody there wears lots of different hats. And we don't have somebody that's their forte. So that would be a huge blessing, just to have someone come in and go, technology is my thing.
Right.
And that would be a huge blessing. We love volunteers at the Christian Academy, and that's another thing, because we don't receive funding. We rely heavily on our volunteers. All of our specials that we do, like PE or art or music, that is all volunteer. Library time,
wow.
Right.
All volunteer.
And professionals, a lot of them do it on their day off.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's dedicated.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Mm-hmm. Right. We have one of our art teachers is a retired art teacher. She taught for, I want to say 29 years.
Master's, doesn't she have her master's? Mm-hmm. And they call her, affectionately call her Mrs. Art and Mr. Art, because Mr. Art assists her, her husband. They are charming.
She's been coming for 8 years.
We love her.
So we're blessed.
But Don't they get it through a lot of that?
They do. And that, even her story, she went through a very difficult time with an aneurysm, and our children prayed for her, and she's back there walking. I mean, it's a real joy to see that. But yeah, volunteers, we love our volunteers, and we welcome volunteers there because we need them, and it ends up being a blessing for them too.
No, but it does.
Yeah. So technology and volunteers and
funding.
And one thing we talk about a lot is that we don't receive any state or federal funding. One thing that surprised me that I learned a few years ago, and I think it was Sean Womack, who was the board member at the time, I said, what is it that students in Arkansas receive when they attend a public school? What do they receive annually in the state of Arkansas? And he said it's about $8,500. Mm-hmm. And our tuition for the year, and we do it on a shoestring budget, is less than $3,000. So tuition for our students is under $10 a day.
Good.
It's right around that. So yes. we feel that we are good stewards, and we are incredibly resourceful.
Very much. So.
And we teach resourcefulness to our students, which is a bonus for the families.
Wow.
Oh,
I'm impressed. Final 30 seconds before we go to news break. Final thought before the news. We got 30 seconds.
It's a privilege, the things that we're able to teach there. We love that we're able to start every morning with prayer, pledges to the American flag. We have a big value on patriotism at the Christian school. And then we pledge to the Christian flag and to the Bible, the Word of God, which we teach is the foundation for everything in life and the lens through which they should filter everything and make their decisions. So we feel very blessed to still have that freedom.
And we'll continue the discussion after the news break. We got the news and some business to take care of here, so stick around. We'll be right back. More with Lori and Robin right after this. 7:35 on this first day of school on August the 15th. We're visiting with Robin and Lori from Mountain Home Christian Academy, and you've got a Wounded Warrior Club there?
We absolutely
Wow.
do. Isn't that neat?
You bet.
We do. Last year, it was our first year. Last year, that was something we wanted to do. As we went to the break, I was telling you that we emphasize patriotism. We think that is very important. We love our country, and we want to teach our children to love our country and why they should love our country, how it was founded, what the framers had in mind, teach them about our Constitution. And anyway, part of the patriotism, we had an opportunity, some information came across my desk about Wounded Warrior, and I thought, we should do this. And so I followed up with one of our board members, and she said, I'll take that on. And so Ginger Wright took that on, and last year was our first year to set up the club and have it, and we had students join. And we raised money last year by having what we called Camo Day or Camouflage Day, and the students were really excited about it, and the teachers too. Everybody jumped in. And they had the opportunity to wear camouflage that day. And we told them, because we have a uniform and a dress code at our school, every day they have one day where they can earn their privilege day. But this day was school-wide. Everybody could wear camo. But you had to pay $1 for every article of camo you wore. So you should have seen the creative way that kids came dressed to school. One little boy had on, I say little, he was probably about a 5th or 6th grade boy. He came in with from head to toe camo, boots, hat. He even brought a camo lunchbox to school that day. And one of our principal, Mrs. Strom, her brother's in the military, and she had his old, not the one, his current one, but she had his old uniform, and she dressed up in his uniform, top to bottom, head to toe. Hat and boots, and we raised over $500. I don't remember the exact figure, but it was a neat thing, and we're going to continue that this year. We were happy to be able to support that organization, believe in what they're doing, and so.
Has there ever been like a veteran, like Marine or Navy man, come in and just talk?
Yes, we had, and I apologize that I don't remember the gentleman's name. I want to say his last name was Jacob. He's passed now, but about 2 years ago, we had a gentleman who was a veteran of 3 wars, if I remember correctly. I want to say the Korean, Vietnam, and World War II. He was a very older gentleman. Yeah, those 3 wars I believe he was in, and he had his cap, and he came in and talked. He let the kids ask questions, and it was an honor to have him there. And we want to have other people that are veterans come in. We've even talked about having a color guard come in, like for National Day of Prayer or other prayer activities that we like to commemorate at the Christian school. So.
I think it's important because what really bothers me is when Veterans Day rolls around, Memorial Day or Veterans Day rolls around, and the TV ads, the big Memorial Day sale at blah, 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 the big Veterans Day sale. Well, that's not what it's all about, people.
Nor is Christmas.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
We those days, we highlight those days at school. Mm-hmm. And we say, does anybody know what today is? And you'll have someone will raise their hand. And then we talk about it. And we talk about why it's important and why it's a day that's on the calendar. And we don't bring up anything about weenie roasts or, ice cream. I mean, it's fun to celebrate that way, but we want to make sure the kids understand why those days are important. And we had one time, we had an evening celebration at our school where it was Thanksgiving and Veterans Day at the same time. Mm-hmm. And we had the children and families tell us anybody in their family that was serving in the military, had served in the military, veteran. And I don't remember the number, but it was a huge number of grandfathers, uncles, dads, brothers that were there. And we honored them there. We had our Thanksgiving celebration, but we honored these veterans. And we had flags, and we had their names up on a bulletin board. And it was really special. And one of our custodian at our school, his son was in the military. And so we had done one for his son. And he still has it, a flag with his son's name on the inside of his closet. When you open his closet door, he's got that posted up there with his son's name on it. So, yeah, we love our veterans. And we're so grateful. We try to teach the kids to say thank you, when they see or know of someone who has served.
When you see that hat that they're wearing.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's a thrill a lot of time for the veteran. To be thanked like that.
To know they're appreciated.
I've started doing that myself, and they'll look at me like, really?
Uh-huh.
Especially the Vietnam vets.
Uh-huh. Yes. Yes.
I had the privilege of being in D.C. a couple of years ago and got to go to the World War II Memorial and the Vietnam Wall.
Yes.
Very moving. And then I walked across the river to Arlington National Cemetery.
It's tough.
It's tough. Mm-hmm. It really is. Mm-hmm. And especially when you see those people with a notebook paper and a pencil on the Vietnam Wall getting those, transferring those names.
Yes.
Quite moving. I've got pictures on Facebook from that. Just unbelievable.
Yes.
It's quite the experience.
I took my children in 2010. We went up there for an event called Restoring Honor. Mm-hmm. And I took my children, and we did the same thing. We went and visited. And the World War II Memorial I found especially moving. My grandfather was in World War II. And I just love that generation. And it was very moving. And my kids were with me, and I was talking to them. And, of course, now I'm like, they're older, and I think I want to take them back again. Because the older you get, the more you can appreciate and understand the meaning. But very beautiful memorial, I thought. And,
really nice.
Yeah, and very moving.
Well, now, how do your school, I'm going to say, is very conservative in core values, Christian core values. So if you get older students that are starting to, no, wait a minute, and perhaps are listening to songs at home that have some lyrics that are questionable. We've all been through that. How do you handle that in the schools? How do you, I'm trying to think, in my day, the Rolling Stones, I can't get no satisfaction.
Right.
They had to blurb.
Right.
The networks, when they were on Ed Sullivan back in those days, they'd blurb a couple of lines out. I can't think of any lyrics off the top of my head, but
sure.
How do you approach that in this day and time? Political correctness, I guess.
Political correctness, and that political correctness is destroying us. Yes. And so we try to avoid that if we can. Not, we don't want to be politically correct. I know that's not
politically correct.
But and each case is different. Every student is different. We always say our role is not to be the parent. We are there to partner with the parents. And our hope is that the student is at the Christian school because the values at their home are similar and that we're there to just help continue those values. However, that is not always the case. And we have had students that have been there that, you can tell, okay, their values are maybe not quite the same. But that, for us, is a golden opportunity to use God's Word, first of all, as our standard. So that's the foundation, and that's the truth. We always try to point them back to that. And we don't want to come across judgmental. Love. Yesterday, as our closing in-service day, we did a prayer walk with all of our staff members. And I remember one of the teachers, when she prayed, she said, God, help us to just show your love to these students, because that is the first thing they need, is to know that they are loved. So that's the first thing when we have to approach a situation like that, is we start with God's Word and His love, because we feel like if they know that they're loved and accepted, then it's not just a matter of, well, you're not listening to the right thing, and this becomes just a legalistic issue. But we address it, and the goal is to reach their heart, not just to have them obey the rules. And a lot of times when we do morning assembly at our school, and what that is the entire student body from K4. We have a K4 program, kindergarten 4, starts the youngest at our school, K4, all the way through 12th grade. We gather in the commons for our morning assembly. Everybody's in there, student body, one big family, and we open our time together. And a lot of times if there's an issue that has to be addressed, and I'll say to them, in the end, I don't want you following this rule because you're afraid Mrs. Mathis or any of your teachers are going to catch you. I want you to follow this rule because ultimately you know that God is the one watching, and your choice needs to be to honor Him. So that, I don't know if that answers your question, but that's how we try to approach it.
That's good. We're going to go ahead and take this break real quick. Be back. More of the Mountain Christian Academy right after this. 7:48. We're continuing our discussion with Robin and Lori about Mountain Christian Academy, and you've got a storm shelter? I did not know. Wow.
Yes, it was completed about, during the first semester of our last school year, and it is wonderful. It is EF5 rated, or maybe even a little better than that.
Wow.
The gentleman, Mike Bowerline Construction, he took it beyond what it had to be. And so it's beautiful. It's actually finished on the inside.
Is this above ground, below ground? How'd they do it?
It's above ground. It sits between our gymnasium and our Phase 1 building, which is our elementary. Well, it's actually our complete school right now, but we're getting ready to break ground on Phase 2, which is our junior high and high school building. But anyway, the storm shelter sits between those two buildings, and I can't remember how much, if you said 120 tons of concrete. It's some outrageous, and the way, I mean, it was fascinating to watch this thing be constructed, to see, you know, everything that he put in place, and the concrete ceiling, and then the foam on the outside of the concrete, and then he added the entrances to it. Like, you don't just have a building and there's the door. He actually constructed a little hallway on the outside on either side of it. So from whatever end, if the students are on the playground or if they're in the commons room, there's two entrances, but he constructed like a little hallway, so you have protection if you're running to get to the shelter, to get in the door. There's one wall of protection before you actually get inside the shelter. And so we have had, when we had our first drill, we were all in there, and we had room left over because he made it large enough so that the entire school and teachers and staff and any volunteers could fit, and then we have room for growth. So it's a really neat thing. The paper came out and took a picture and did a little small piece on it, but it's quite significant. I think it might be the safest place in Mountain Home. I want to be there if a tornado comes our way. And that came about, a few years after these tornadoes that were so close to home, and we had some grandparents who have grandchildren in that school. And they were like, let's try to see if we can't, raise some money to protect our children and our staff there. So, again, generous people donating their labor and time and fundraising through some grandparents. We were able to make that happen at about, I think, maybe a third, less than a third, maybe a fifth of what it would have cost to go through different channels.
Right.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's great. It's there. You'll have to come out and see it, Dale.
Yeah, I want to. That's cool. Groundbreaking. Where are you breaking ground on? Drum roll, please.
Well, yes. And a junior high and high school building. We're going to start with the shell. Because here again, without funding, we want to keep our school as debt-free as possible. We feel like that's also a way to steward what God has entrusted to us. But we have also felt prompted of the Lord. Our last board meeting was held in a room that was our library and now is a classroom / library. And the board used to come into the library and use the library table for our board meetings, so we don't have a boardroom. And so the last time we had our board meeting, we were all sitting at student desks, having a board meeting as we sat in student desks, and the board members like, see, we're growing, which is a great problem to have. But we are breaking ground. As our school has begun to grow, we offer an accredited high school. It's online. We have facilitators that work with our students, teachers that work with them. But it is accredited. We felt like if we were going to offer high school, it needed to be accredited. And so last year we had 13 students in our high school.
Really?
And we have a 7th and 8th grade group that is growing. And so we feel like, because our elementary grades are growing so much, we're literally busting out at the seams. We needed to make room to go ahead and move 7th through 12th grade to another building. So we're not building a full, large facility. We're building a 6-classroom building with a science lab.
Cool.
And we're super excited about it. So,
what part of the property? I'm trying to envision that on the property.
Okay, so we have a gymnasium that's kind of in the middle, and to the west side of the gymnasium
Really?
is where that. So you'll be able to access the building from the gym, or there will be a walkway between those two buildings. So it'll be just west of the gym, just south of the playgrounds.
Okay. Mm-hmm. That'd be nice.
Yeah, we're excited.
You've got a nice piece of property to begin with.
Yes.
It's pretty out there.
It is pretty. We feel very blessed, and the Lord made that possible.
Wow. Yeah. When you said, I had an idea, that, how ideas just pop in your head when this online stuff. What about having something through the Christian Academy where people like my age could get back online and go back and review stuff? I'm maybe not on a high school level, but maybe on a freshman, sophomore, junior, collegiate.
Well, now that you mention it, I've looked at the courses that are offered through. We partner with an association called Alpha Omega Academy, and they do offer adult classes. And something that we're offering this year is for any high school homeschool students who might have a class that their parents are uncomfortable. We've had some homeschool parents say to us, would it be possible for my student to come and take biology at your school or geometry? Well, we're now in a position to offer that, and it would be accredited. So, for any homeschoolers out there that might be listening this morning, if you are interested in one class, two classes, anything, come and visit with us. We would love to talk with you. But even maybe in the future, that is something we could consider, Dale.
Take, for instance, when I was in school, let's take science, for instance. We were studying how a black and white television works and how the antenna, stuff like this. Look at where technology has gone in the last 50 years, from the time I was in elementary school to where we're at now. So people my age and older, why couldn't we, $100, $200, get online and study new advances in technology through Mountain Home Christian Academy?
I think you're onto something. I love that.
To be able to keep up with their children.
Yes, exactly.
Son, how do you open this ass for model?
Exactly.
If your kids are doing Common Core, you can't keep up with them. It's designed to eliminate the parental involvement.
We've got 1 minute to attack Common Core.
Oh, do you want me to say that again?
No Common Core.
No Common Core. We want our parents involved in their children's education. We want them to know how to do the math problems without 20 steps.
25.
25. Yeah, I was being generous there, being kind. No Common Core.
Let me take this opportunity to contact your local representatives, senators, and even the Capitol and say no Common Core.
Common Core.
Just get rid of it. Final 30 seconds.
Oh, wow. Yeah, we have athletics at Mountain Home Christian Academy. We can talk about that if you want after the break, or I don't know. Do we have 30 seconds? Oh, we're down to the wire.
We're down to 20 seconds.
We have Lady Eagles volleyball, and we have Eagles basketball. We have after-school activities that include ballet, tennis, golf, possibly art, and possibly, this isn't possibly, this is a fact. We have choir, an after-school choir program.
Cool.
So, yeah.
And your phone number real quick so people can write the $1 million check.
Yes, thank you. 424-6622. And our website is mountainhomechristianacademy.com. All full words.
And let me encourage you to support Mountain Home Christian Academy. They do great work, and hopefully have the kids on, hopefully by October or November. That wraps it up. We'll be back tomorrow. See you later.